Greetings, everyone. I'm Lance Dunahoe, and welcome to this edition of DFW Real Estate's Best Podcast, where we introduce you to the top producing agents and their vetted business partners, the real movers and shakers in DFW Real Estate. This week, we have some amazing guests, a power team in the DFW lending world known for their energy, their consistency, and treating clients with care and compassion. That's Haiti and Darren Lavelle with the Lavelle team at Cardinal Financial. And they're a very special guest, an agent who ranks in the top 500 in DFW real estate year after year, and North Dallas Real Producer, August 2020 Rising Star, and 2021 World Changer nominee, Miss Sharon Cummings with Keller Williams. So if you want to hear their stories, how they started, what inspires and motivates them, and how they got to be who they are, then tune in right now. Welcome to DFW Real Estate's Best Podcast, brought to you by Real Producer Magazine. Jordan, Rachelle, and I come to you live every Wednesday at 11 o'clock from your favorite platforms, Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. Before I introduce our guests, I want to share a little bit about the Real Producer community. Real Producer is a national magazine in over 100 markets across the country. And in DFW, we have 3 magazines currently and are launching our 4th magazine, Fort Worth Real Producer, this summer. Essentially 4 of the magazine communities made up of the top 500 agents and their favorite vetted business partners, the best agents and the best businesses that they work with. And we get to share their stories with you. Today, we've got a great show with some of my favorite Real Producer influencers, Haiti and Darren Lavelle and Sharon Cummings. But before we get started, our podcast is powered by The Difference. The Difference Radio live stream podcast provides video branding and digital business development solutions for small business owners and entrepreneurs locally and statewide. With over 750,000 viewers in 2021 and growing, The Difference can help any business grow their brand awareness and develop a message that humanizes your business in a way that grows your brand, expands your connections and relationships, increases your influence and relevance, and quickly helps you become known as a power player and a mover and shaker like our guest in your sphere, community, and industry and business world. And with that, I'd like to bring on our guests, the Lavelles, and Miss Cummings. Come on.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. So glad you're here.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Haiti. Yeah. Hey, welcome aboard. I want to start with Darren and Haiti. If you could introduce yourselves, and then I'll give you a quick chance to tee it up and introduce Sharon.
Absolutely. So we are Darren and Haiti. We are the Lovell team. It's 2 of us here. We have an entire team that you're not seeing today. We do work for Cardinal Financial. We are here local in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We've been doing business now for about 11 years. And over those 11 years, we've seen a lot of changes and a lot of growth, and just really excited to be on here today.
Right on. Well, thank you for correcting me. I was saying Lavelle, but it's Lovell. I like that.
That's all right. It's just like the astronaut, just not related.
Yeah, but it's love, but on the level. I like it. I love it. Well, Sharon, tell us about you.
So I'm Sharon Cummings. I'm with Keller Williams Realty in Allen. And I started in real estate straight out of high school. Honestly, I went into college to take real estate classes. I wanted to be a realtor at that time, but then got married and had children, decided to stay home for a while, kind of on again, off again. Love affair with real estate for about 20 years. And in 2017, got my license and decided to finally go out and do this. And it's been 5 years in May, and it's just been a roller coaster that's been the most fun ever. I just waited in line way too long.
Well, it sounds like you made it to the front of the line pretty quickly once you got in line, though, which is impressive.
Thank you.
Before we hear more about your story, how did you meet Darren and Haiti?
So a lot of agents in my office were actually using them as their preferred lenders. And I had met them by accident the first time when they were doing one of their client events. I walked in to get a coffee and they were dressed up as I forget, it was like a card theme or something. It was Queen of Hearts. It was so cute. And I walked in, I was like, oh my gosh. And they from that point forward, of course, I met them. They bought my coffee, which was so nice. And then they just kept asking me to have lunch, asking me to meet up. And I just said, no, thanks, no, thanks, no, thanks. I'm good for about a year. And finally I gave in and I had lunch with them and instantly just fell in love with their values and how they treat people. Immediately knew that I wanted to be in partnership with them in my business. And then throughout getting to know each other, realized we got married at the same place in Rockwall. And so my husband and I got married on the Sail with Scott catamaran in Rockwall. And so we've been on double date nights since then and had lots of fun. So yeah, we have a lot in common and they've been awesome to work with.
Wow. Now, do you guys remember what you were wearing when you first met Sharon?
Yes. Yes. We were king and queen of love.
That's right.
Valentine's.
Yes, it was Valentine's.
King and queen of love.
Yeah, and they go all out. And so I appreciate that about them so much because I could tell like they go all out for their clients and their real estate partners. And I really love that about them.
You know, isn't that what I mean? It's just beautiful that, of course, that word is in your name, but it's even more beautiful that the agents that I've met that know you, you live up to that, and that's totally impressive. Your reputation has preceded you. I was talking to Jordan, my partner, and the first agent that he sat down with, Pam
Heinrich.
You were the first lender, the first meeting that he ever had with an agent. You were the first lender that was recommended to this real producer community. And of course, your name comes up so much after that consistently. And I think I was just reading, I want to share some things because I pulled up like just Google, sometimes I Google people before these, and I was amazed at how many 5-star reviews that you guys have and your team has. And the words that are the people that describe you as could not have been more professional and giving. I mean, who says that about a lender? Let's see here. What else? A wonderful experience. Let's see. My gosh, there was a bunch of them. Very responsive. On and on and on about just the experience that you guys have created. And I'm like, are they really? Are they lenders? What else are they doing here? Because you created an experience for your clients. And I think just living up to the name, right? So tell us a little bit about what you guys do, and then we'll get into some other business questions later. But what's the heart behind the love here? Yeah,
it truly, along with love, it's a relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the core of our business, and that's not only that's the realtors. We want that relationship. So just like with Sharon, we started doing business together, but we developed a relationship and a friendship. And so that's honestly, we love doing business with her, but the friendship and the relationship we have with her is so much more important than that. So, if you approach business from a relational perspective and you always try to do the right thing, treat that individual, we're family, right? We have a family. This is a family business. It's never a transaction to us. The relationship for that client is paramount. So we're going to do everything we can because it's a big, it's an experience. You're making a huge purchase. That's a huge investment of money. I mean, whether you're a first-time home buyer or it's your 10th home, we want that experience to be the best experience that you've ever had. And when they have that experience, then they're coming back to Sharon and they're coming back to the Level team because that's a good experience. If they have that home buying process and it's a bad experience, those lenders that are just transactional in nature, one and done, get it done, then they may not be as apt to come back into the market to buy that second home or that investment property or trading up to that new primary residence.
Wow. I love that. I hear that a lot from agents and our partners as I sit down with them each week, and that difference between being relational and transactional. And that goes with our clients, but it goes with each other as professionals too. That sometimes you think about our clients as, they're transactional, but as professionals, agents treating other agents relationally instead of transactionally, and the partners. And it really changes the whole transaction and that experience for our clients when we do that. So that's a beautiful sentiment. So now You guys are all three very successful professionals, and I know that that path of success often comes through the fields of failure, if you will. And I'm a big fan of failing forward, because if you're not failing, you're probably not trying hard enough, right? So, what are some of the struggles that you guys have had along the way to your success, that have led to this level of success? If you can share something that at the time seemed like a bad time, but you come through that struggle, and it really is helped define who you are, particularly in this current market. Sharon, I'll let you start with you.
Okay. So personally, I would say overloading myself, taking on every single thing I can get my hands on in the beginning. As a new agent, you go to an open house, you're just like chasing down every single lead and trying to get that deal, right? And then growing the relationships kind of ends up hard to do when you're chasing every single deal. And you have to really watch and look for the relationships that are going to grow, the people that want to invest time into the relationship and getting through that. And it took me a little while to get that. Once I got that, it changed my whole world. And just realizing like, okay, this person they are transactional, and that's maybe not a good fit for me, or they're relational and that's a great fit for me, and we're going to take this on, and now I'm going to help their sister and their brother and their aunt and their grandma buy a house too. It's just deciding and protecting your peace and your business in a way that if it doesn't fit within your way of doing business, then maybe it's not a good deal for you to work with. So that's a big thing I had to learn. And, you work really hard at first to get to that point where you can make those decisions. And then I would also say COVID was a huge struggle. When COVID hit, I immediately thought the world was going to end. We're not going to have anybody buying a house. It was the complete opposite of that. It turned into this blessing almost. I mean, and I lost friends and I struggled through it, hospitalized, went through the whole thing. So it helped me build better connections with people. It gave me more reasons to check on people and care for people in my database. So what seemed like it was going to be the end of the world actually turned into making our lives harder, but also turned out better.
Yeah, I love that. And a couple of things you said, what you talked about getting to that place where you can do that. A lot of it is just getting that place where you're comfortable being your authentic self and making those choices. And then you start seeing that the law of attraction, where you attract just like the levels, that you guys have attracted each other because of your heart and who you are. And it makes that experience so much richer. And you start finding that other people are attracted to that. So you get to enjoy the benefits of just being authentic. I love that. What a great story. And of course, COVID, we all probably have a terrible, horrible COVID story, but so thankful that we've all kind of come out of that on this side of it. Darren,
we're all
Haiti,
stronger.
Yeah, Darren, Haiti, any struggles on the way to your great success and doing this great?
I'm interested to hear what Darren has to say.
How long we have? And it's kind of along this. I'm not sure if Haiti would have the same answer, but kind of along the same lines of Sharon is, what we want to provide and what we think we now provide, and we're still not perfect. You're never perfect. You're always striving to get better. But when I started in the mortgage business about 11 years ago, Haiti was a loan officer. And then she went back out into the real estate market. And so one of the things that I struggled with is I knew what kind of level of service that I wanted to provide at that point in time. And it was providing updates out to all parties that were involved. So the listing agent, the title company, the buyer's agent, the client. I wanted to provide gifts along the way to show our appreciation. I wanted to be at closing. And what I found is, for one individual, that's impossible. And things would get dropped along the way. So what the lumps we took, we learned that, you think about capacity and you think about being on the same page. So over time, as we grew and we strive to always be better, our team grew, so it's not just Haiti and I, it's behind the scenes, a rock star team that's there to plug the gaps and to make sure everything's still moving, because, we're out and, when we sit down with a realtor, we tell them it's not a relationship if we never see you. How do you have a relationship with somebody if you're not sitting down to break bread. I mean, it's just not a relationship. It means they're sending you business with no reciprocity whatsoever. So that's one of the first things we see is if we're going to do business with you, we're going to see you. So hopefully you like us and we like you, right? I mean, but that struggle was really just too many balls in the air. And one person can't manage all of that from a lending perspective. So growing the team and through success, through amazing relationships that we have, allows us to put processes in place. So a lack of processes versus now having what we think are pretty sound processes to make sure that nothing does get dropped along the way. So it's not been perfect. We're still not perfect. We're always striving to get better.
One thing I would like to throw in there for them is their team is amazing. Like everyone you work with is a reflection of them. And I heard recently something in a conference I was in, and it said systematize the back of the house and personalize the front of the house.
Wow.
And
That's
it
a writer downer.
with me because
I'm gonna
I
write
thought
that.
and it's so true because everything from them is so systematized and you get it and it's happening and it's all going as planned. And you've got Darren and Haiti over here going to lunch and taking care of people and having those relationship building moments. So you guys have done a great job at that.
Thank you, Sharon.
We think the same of you too, Sharon.
For
For sure. You're I'm serious. Like we were talking the other day about your offers in regards to yours the best. When you present offers for your buyers, it's wow. It's wow. I mean, and that's why we see a lot of your offers accepted quickly.
You know, Lance, a little secret, and Sharon doesn't like really anybody to know this. No, everybody's going to know this, right? So she has the biggest heart of anyone we know. She does so much from a philanthropy perspective, helping those that are less fortunate, helping those in need. She doesn't ever publicize it. She doesn't want any press about it, but it's that kind of servant's heart when you have that relationship. And she shows that same love to her clients. And that's why the first thing out of my mouth or out of Haiti's mouth when one of her clients contacted us is, I don't know how you know her, but you're blessed to know her. And it exudes itself. And you, when those clients come back to you, because they do, it's because she will go above and beyond what you could ever imagine to make sure that client's 100% satisfied.
Yeah.
Well, I know that Sharon was nominated for a World Changer Award, and it's, you know, of course, she was featured.
Oh, God.
In here, you touch on, let me say it again. Isn't it great? Beautiful. But you touch on some things that are near and dear to your heart that of course, then led to this nomination by your peers as a world changer. And it's your heart about random acts of kindness and your Allen Kindness Project. And I was reading your feature, and I love what you said. It was kind of the end quote. It says, if you want to change the world, you can. Anyone can. Constantly look for ways to be kind to others. Then kindness can become a habit. It's a habit that can change the world for the better. That is beautiful and profound. What inspired you? How did this whole thing kind of come about and then turn into something bigger for you?
Well, when I first said I was going to get into real estate full time, of course, I had worked for realtors for years and I had just made a salary, you know, and it was a good salary, but it was never more than enough. Right. And so my kids saw that. And my daughter at the time, the first thing she said when I said I'm going to get my real estate license is, we're going to be rich. And it broke my heart inside. Like it just hurt me for her to say that. And I immediately said, no, first of all, you're not going to be anything because it's me doing the work. But I said, we have to think of a way that we can turn this into good. If I make more money than I'm making now, what can we do to turn that into something good for others? And she said, it was her idea in the beginning. And we always did little random acts of kindness together just for fun. Like we'd pay for the person behind us or something like that. And she said, well, I think every time you have a closing, you should do a random act of kindness. And it just kind of turned into that. And so that's where it started. And my very first closing, my husband and I went out to celebrate and we left the server $100 tip. And she told us she was a teacher and she was serving on the side because she didn't make enough money. And I'm still friends with her. and have helped her look for a house in that period of time. And so it just grew into this culture of my business. And I absolutely get more joy out of doing something like that than the whole closing itself. And I usually will tell people, hey, I did this act of kindness on behalf of your closing, or sometimes I'll tell them, sometimes I don't, because I feel like it's bragging and I don't like that. But if I'm really close to them, I may tell them what I did. And then when I had my 100th closing, because I started out, I know people are like, oh, you made it to the front of the line, or you got really quick. But I've averaged about 25 to 30 closings a year. And this is my 5th year. So I hit my 100th closing this past year in 2021. And I wanted to do something to celebrate it. And so I challenged myself to do 100 acts of kindness in 1 week. And it was also a week when we were going on vacation, and I didn't think that through. But we did, and I had my family helping me, and we made it, and we did it. And it was very rewarding and very much one of the most fun memories I've ever had. But yeah, there's just
Any one of those stand out? Any one of those random acts that you want to share with us?
I think my favorite one that I've ever done was I was in a store shopping, and there was this sweet little older couple, and you could tell they were just on a fixed income, retired. He was on a walker, and she was looking for a dress that she had seen at the store the week before. She couldn't find the dress, and the sales lady was helping her, and they found it, and it was still $20. It was on sale, but it was marked down to $20. And the sales agent said, oh, it's only $20. And she was like, oh yeah, I shouldn't get it. She was just going back and forth. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't spend the money. So I just secretly bought a gift card and gave it to the salesperson and told her to tell the lady that it was from Secret Santa. And I hid in the dressing room because I was the only other person in the store, and I didn't want her to know who it was. And I got to stand in the dressing room and hear this lady just break down in tears because nobody had ever done anything like that for her before. And she had to be 80, and I thought, she's like 80 years old and nobody's ever done anything like that for her. So it just, I don't know, things like that. I mean, I'll cry talking about it.
Yeah,
I get
I need a moment. I need a tissue.
Virtual tissue.
But that's probably one of my favorite ones. And it was a $25 act of kindness. It wasn't a big deal, but to her it was. And, and that's what really matters.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I know you've inspired others too, Sharon. You have and even kind of a sort of a community, the people that you've encouraged to share. And I think you've even got kind of further aspirations with that. Or where are you at on all that?
We're constantly growing in that and trying to do more in the community, getting more involved and get a movement going. And, it takes time to build that. And I want it to be organic. So and it's hard to do because you don't want to be out there saying, hey, I did this act of kindness and, everybody should go do. But I do put out challenges to my friends and say, hey, today's a good day to go do something nice for someone, or today's act of kindness challenge is this, and you don't have to say you did it. The Allen Kindness Project is just a Facebook group that I started, and the goal there was for people to post when they had an act of kindness done for them, or if they did something for someone else, they could post it even anonymously to say, so that other people would see it and it would inspire someone else to do an act of kindness. It's not to say, hey, I did this. It's more to inspire other people to do it. And if you never tell anyone you do anything, there's not going to be much of an inspiration unless the person that had the act given to them tells their story. So
Sharon for sure has inspired us. We actually get money out of the ATM now, and we carry it around, and it is cool because first of all, I never carried cash before. I mean, really, it's just a credit card or debit card. But it's very cool because now we have this cash on us, or Darren has always had cash on him. And he'll be like, you know what? I feel led like $50, $100. And it's cool how we're each touched in a different way to bless the different individual. And for sure, it started from Sharon. So thank you, Sharon.
That makes me very happy. Thank you, guys.
Wow, that's huge. That truly is. That's inspiring. Sharon, I can't help but look over your shoulder and see, is that a vision board you've got back there?
Oh yeah, this is my vision board. I do one every year. At first, I thought vision boards and aspirations were kind of silly and kooky, and I am a creature of habit. And so once I did one and all the things on that came true for the year, I decided maybe there's something to this, and I just started doing one every year. I still have all my vision boards, and I can look back and see how far I've come, and it's just it's really fun to see that. I do mine digitally. I do them on Canva and then just print it out because I don't like crafting that much. So people out there who are more of a tech person and do not want to do crafts, you can do a vision board.
That is so cool.
So.
Now, Darren and Haiti, do you guys do a vision board, or have you ever done one of those?
Actually, I have one sitting on the dining room counter. So yes, I do them with my ladies groups. We do them about one or two times a year. I encourage my ladies that I lead to do vision boards because it really is wild how it really leads your life. So.
Yeah. Anything right now that you can really see this coming to fruition already in March, that's something that you could share with us that's on your vision board?
Mm.
I know it's early in the year.
Yeah, it is. Well, the thing is, I'm in between, like I'm creating one right now. So I'm trying to think back to my other one. I don't really have.
I think it could be
on a podcast on there.
What's that?
I said, was being on the podcast on there?
There you go. You guessed it.
Woo! You made it.
Diving is on there. Scuba diving.
Oh, right on.
Hey, I'm going scuba diving next month for the first time.
Where are you headed, Sharon?
We're going to Jamaica. That's on my vision board. So my husband and I are celebrating our 10-year anniversary in April, and we're going away to Sandals, South Coast. And I have lots of fun adventures planned that we've never done before. So we're very excited.
That's awesome.
So cool. Very cool. Where are you guys going scuba diving, Haiti?
We're going in Cabo.
Yeah.
Cabo.
That's perfect. Wow. Well, what a great it is important. I created a vision board this year, and part of it was to lose like 20 pounds, and I put kind of a magic number up there, and I'm 7 pounds away from it already. So
awesome.
Wow.
And then all the halo effect that comes with that from all the other great habits that are created. I think it's just really important to put those kind of things in front of yourself because
I have mine everywhere. I have it hanging up on my screen of my computer, the screen of my phone. And even though you don't see it, it's there and you are seeing it and your subconscious is seeing it. And it's just amazing how it all starts happening when you really put it out there. And the key to getting what you want is deciding what you want. And I know you're bugging him because he probably doesn't have a vision board because he's a guy, and sometimes guys are still a little bit hesitant.
You got it right here.
I have some stuff on mine for my husband that I know I want. I know what he wants, and I have it on my vision board too.
Well,
Good idea.
I'm a planner, and I tell her I've got it, all up here because failing to plan is planning to fail, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that holds true with our entire life. But she does. She visually has one. I tell her I've got mine up here, and she just has to read on mine.
Hey, Darren, you don't have to make yours look that pretty. Like mine's got like 5 things on it. It's kind of boring. It's not as crafty looking, so it's.
I'm sure I'll have the whiteboard in here and everything as soon as we're done. Maybe be like, see, I told you.
Well, it's a lot like you said, planning, but it's that because you have to watch. You're going to have to measure your success one way or the other, and sometimes putting that horizon out there is important, but it's also looking back. I mean, like Sharon, I'm sure you could see just looking back from your feature. Where you have, what was out there then you've achieved, and now looking back and just seeing that success is a motivation in itself, and seeing what you visualize then come to fruition. It's a powerful thing in reinforcement, but measuring those things along the way by looking back is critical too. And also measuring, I use the new map to measure my calories. That's helped with the
So earlier when you said what are some of the failures that we've had, and I think that was one of my biggest ones in the beginning, is I had people all around me before I actually started doing real estate full time saying, you could do this. This would be great. You should do this. Everybody else saw in me what I had there, but I didn't see it. And I kind of kept pushing it to the side. And so I think setting my goals low in the beginning was a failure. Starting too late, or not too late. It's never too late, but starting later than I should have when I was capable. That was another failure, but I grew from it and it's better now. So those are things that vision boards will help you with, setting your goals. So any new agent out there, I would say, don't be afraid to set your goals too high, because I set mine at a reasonable rate. That's like, this is what I'm going to do. And I did it. And I thought it was almost unattainable then. Then the next year I just set it a little bit higher. Now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to throw it up to this number now. And now I have to really push myself, but it happened.
Yeah.
So,
Well, go ahead.
Darren's huge on goals. We actually we talk about our goals all the time. And I mean, we're talking a couple times a week. And then even we talk about, okay, here's the number. And we say it out loud. And he's like, we're not there. And I'm like, have you said it out loud? What is it for this month? 6 million, 10 million? What is it?
Yeah.
You know? And so we constantly say it because, of course, we believe in a higher power. And we're very blessed because of that.
amen.
I love that.
We call that speaking life.
Speaking life, absolutely.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Sharon, I know you come out of the Keller Williams University. You're in that, and so much great training comes through there. But there's an exercise that they often do called the Multiplier Exercise, where you write down, this number, your goal for the year, and then of course go, how does that make you feel looking at that number? And then the next step is now double that. And it's like, then how does that make you feel? It always gives me chills to say that. It's like, if it's not giving you that kind of a rush, you're probably thinking a little bit too low, in achieving that, and then kind of putting that out there. But I love that challenge in itself, because you got to think big, you got to think realistic, but sometimes we just way underestimate ourselves. And it's about, like you said, putting the systems in the back of the house and the relationships in the front. And if you build that system that supports achieving those goals, they are way attainable. We just have
Absolutely.
Just because we haven't done it yet doesn't mean it can't be done. So,
one thing is, when you're setting your goals, I've always thought, well, recently, really the last few years, if you already know how to get to that goal and you already know how you're going to do it, it's not big enough.
Yeah.
So that's your I can definitely do it goal, but your goal that it's aspirational is the one you need to be really setting, because you're going to hit that other one no matter what. But pushing yourself to your aspirational goal is, and this year I'm on the ALC for my office, which is the Agent Leadership Council. So they put your numbers up in front of the board, in front of everyone once a month. So there's nothing that will hold you more accountable than that.
Yeah, that's interesting. It is that kind of accountability, not being able to hide, and then the numbers don't lie. That's got to be quite a challenge for you. Well, hey, while we're talking, we're talking personal, but let's talk a little business. You want to?
Sure.
Absolutely. Let's get it.
Of course, we before the podcast, we talked, this is a seller's market, record low inventory, and now rising interest rates. And it has become so important to always be strategic and knowledgeable and watching all the indicators, right? Just to make sure that we can take care of our clients. So my question for you guys is, what do pros like you do in this kind of a market to help your clients navigate this environment? What are you doing? Because this is brutal right now. And I'll start with you, Darren and Haiti. What are y'all doing to help your clients?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things we believe in is that owning real estate creates financial wealth, right? So somebody who owns real estate has a net worth of about $250,000. Somebody who does not own real estate, they rent, has about a net worth of $5,000. And most of that net worth for that individual that owns real estate is in their home. So for us, it's all about trying to draw that line in the sand. So you're talking about this market, right? So interest rates are rising, but historically speaking, they're still below the historical average. So you have to look at it for what it is. I mean, interest rates were artificially low for so long, and now we're seeing the outcome of that. low interest rate strategy by the Fed in the whole quantitative easing is what they call it. So interest rates are still great interest rates. And I think you have to look at it from that perspective. The market, you're right. I mean, we've got way more buyers than we have sellers. So, if you can make that entry point now, so it's a whole purchasing power type of thing. So if I wait until the market gets back to a normal market, right, 2 or 3 years down the road, that $400,000 home is now going to cost me $500,000 or $550,000. So is my income growing fast enough to keep up with that appreciation over the next couple of years? So for us, it's about drawing the numbers out for them and seeing, well, one, can they qualify? Two, if they qualify, what's that look like from a mortgage perspective? And let's not look at it from just a mortgage perspective. Let's look at it from a full financial planning perspective as well, because it's not just the mortgage payment. What other debt do they have? What things could we perhaps reposition? So for us, it's all about getting, drawing that line in the sand, starting, get that home ownership in place so they start building that wealth and that accumulation that they're going to get in that property. For somebody that's not able to buy now, it's that consultative piece. Okay, so you can't buy now because your credit scores are too low, or you can't buy now because you don't have enough money saved. So let's do a roadmap, right? We talked about vision and everything and planning. So this is the same thing. So somebody who, unfortunately, let's say they can't buy now for whatever reason, we put a roadmap in place for that individual. Here's the 3 things you need to do over the next 2, 3, or 6 months so you can be in a position to buy sooner rather than later. So,
and our realtor partners love that too. So they see that roadmap also for their buyers. So they know, okay, well, they can't do it right now, but in 2 months, I'll be able to set them up on this home search. And this is their max purchase price. So we keep everybody in the loop.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's building a pipeline for all of us.
And I think for me, it's more for me on my side, it's setting expectations, sitting down with people before you go out and look at houses, looking online at homes and their price point and what they listed for versus what they sold for. So they see that, because I have buyers all the time. Well, I've seen houses and they were $275 or $350. Okay, but they sold for $400. So here's our expectation of where we're going to land. That means we need to lower what we're looking for. We need to look at the whole picture, not just what you're seeing online. And then I need to make sure they're connected with great lenders like Darren and Haiti, who will sit and go through it with them and help them understand it and make them feel like they have a whole team of people that are in synergy and that are all working towards the same goal for that client. Mm-hmm. And then presenting that client's offer, like Darren and Haiti said, I have a very specific way that I send over offers. I start with getting a relationship with that listing agent right away. As soon as I make the appointment to show the house, I text the agent, I follow up, I leave great feedback. I do everything I can to try to get that relationship going to best represent my client. And it builds relationships in the community at the same time. I get to know agents that way.
I love that. Yeah, go ahead.
Lance, I think what Sharon touched on, how to win the deal, right? I mean, so, when you get to that point, it's the communication aspect of it is critical. So Sharon and us being on the same page, when the offer goes over, us calling the listing agent to speak on behalf of the client, getting that client conditionally approved through underwriting as well. So eliminating all the financing options. So there's a lot of pre-work we can do, and setting proper expectations, I think is incredibly valuable to doing that. But the communication strategy and who you use and what they do on your behalf in this market is more critical than ever.
Absolutely.
Sharon does that well for her clients.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I've heard that over and over, how important the relationship is, because it's not necessarily always the buyer that offers the highest amount. It's
right.
A lot of time it is or cash, or I've heard, and you guys have seen the exception to the rule that a VA actually wins out over a cash offer, but a lot of it has to do with the relationship, and it's about how that whole thing was presented. Sometimes that may not seem fair to some people, that it's not about the highest offer, but it is such a relationship business. And I love this real producer community for that reason. And, we have several agents that have given us this feedback that that this is just such a great opportunity for our agents to get to know each other outside and our partners to get to know each other outside of a transaction, and continue to build those relationships and nurture those in a different environment where you get to have these high-level conversations about important things that affect your clients and where your heart really is. And all that makes a difference when it comes down to when you see that offer, right? It's whatever that is, there's something that that transaction is going to go smooth and it's going to be better for your client on some level, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so in this, we talk about kind of some of the struggles. What are some of the opportunities that this market has created out of these struggles to improve our services? I've asked that question about like COVID, what people have done, but this market is unique too. Is there something that you've learned in this environment that you think has improved what you do?
Well, we get the chance to write a lot more offers.
Very good. Your penmanship, your signature is so.
Yes, you get a lot of practice on putting offers together. So that's nice.
Yeah.
You get a chance to build relationships with your client. Back when you could write one offer and you go under contract, you've got maybe 30 to 45 days with that person. Now you may have a few months where you're dealing with them and you're doing a lot more for them. And when they see that and they appreciate that and you get to the closing and they're so grateful, like they're just so thankful to be closing on that house. And sellers too. I know it's a seller's market, but that means more work for the sellers and the seller's agents,
Right.
even because people think, oh, it's, a listing, you just throw a sign in the yard, you're going to sell it. Well, yeah, you're dealing with also, putting 30 offers on a spreadsheet on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock p.m. so you can meet with your sellers on Sunday and get the offer executed and get a backup and talking to all these agents that send in offers. And I'm big on communicating with those agents. I can't stand when you put out an offer and you don't hear anything at all from the agent. So just respecting that they sent an offer and thanking them. And so there's a lot of work involved in that. And it's giving us an opportunity to work on that communication and, writing the offers and building those relationships in a longer amount of time than we used to have.
Yeah. Lance, I think it's similar with us. We probably sound like a broken record, but again, it's relationship. So the classes always have full. So what it's a lot of, so to Sharon's point, I was thinking back and trying to count in my mind. So Sunday night, I think we called 17 listing agents for offers that had been made in the deadline. And so and very, very interesting, we can create relationships through that. So even though our client may not get the offer, us calling on a Sunday night at 6 p.m. just to let them know how well qualified Sharon's clients are and that we're there for them and to talk to them a little bit about the process and everything. Even in those ones where we're not successful in winning, we have the opportunity to create relationships. So I would say we're talking with a lot more agents out there. We're creating more relationships. And like Sharon said, it is more work, but when you get that accepted offer and just the joy, and you get to the finish line with those clients, they know how much effort's going into that in this market for sure.
Yes.
And there's something we really don't want to talk about. This is becoming a brutal market both for realtors and lenders. But it's whether you're a realtor or a lender, who you are aligned with, we're going to see a lot of fallout right now, both for lenders and realtors. Yeah. So we just need to be buckled down doing what we know works and doing it a little bit harder, maybe a little bit faster to continue to be successful.
And continuing to stay positive. I mean, just be positive. Keep your mindset right. Do the things you need to do to keep your mindset positive. Because whatever your mindset is and how your attitude is going to transfer straight to your clients.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
if you are like, oh, it's horrible out there, nobody can get a house, you got to bid 50 over, that's exactly what your clients are going to feel. So educating them, setting expectations, and keeping a strong mindset and telling them up front, it's probably going to take us a while, but we're going to get there and you're going to get the house you're meant to get. And I'm sorry you lost that multiple offer situation. That wasn't your house. Your house is coming. I promise you.
We've heard her say that. But we chuckled. We've heard that come out of her mouth. That's exactly right.
And it does happen. They always end up in a house that makes them forget that other house they were devastated they didn't get, So,
Well, and it takes that team of professionals too. Like I'm sure you have your favorite, of course, your favorite lender, your favorite title, your favorite inspector,
Yes.
your stager, whatever, all that makes that when the time comes, you can execute and get it done, because it's essential that transaction goes smooth, because there's too many things, too many variables that can interrupt that at this point. So I'm sure building that team, and it looks like I love hearing this, how your relationship has made a difference in each other's lives and careers. And with that, I'm going to segue real quick because I know Lyndon Wilson, our host, is in the background and has been listening. And Lyndon, I'd love for you to some of your insights. There he is. There's the man himself. I'm sure you have a few questions that are always thought-provoking.
I do. And thank you, Lance, and thank you, Sharon and Darren and Hattie. Did I get it right that time?
Haiti.
All right, Haiti. Thank y'all for being on the show and for bringing what you brought. We created the difference 2.5 years ago on accident. And one of the things that we were searching, and that's why we call it #TheDifference, is I had lived through being in the mortgage business many years ago. I had lived through got out of mortgage right before the crash of 2008. Mm-hmm. And what intrigued me about that crash is how some people in mortgage and real estate actually did better, and others had to go back to their real job. It kind of purged the market. And I started looking into what was the difference, right? Number one, it was relationships. And you guys have already touched on that. The people that were relational, not just with the clients, but with their business partners. The people that really had a good relationship weren't abandoned, right? No one ran away and said, hey, you're on your own, do the best you can because you didn't do anything for me when it was good, right? So the three things, and let me see how much time we got. We got time. 3 things I want to know. Okay. Number one is I want each one of you to tell me the first thing you think of when I say professional inspiration. Is it a person? Is it an event? Is it something that happened? Let's start with you, Sharon. Who has been the biggest, or what's been the biggest professional inspiration that you can think of?
Honestly, it's the culture in my office. I have an amazing office. Everyone here is super supportive, and we're all in competition with each other. But it is such an amazing environment. It makes me jump out of bed every day, get dressed, and show up here at my actual office. And I just love being here and hearing top producers. I mean, I sat down across the table with Tom Grissack a few weeks ago at a happy hour, and he just started asking me questions about how I'm doing things and what am I doing, and helping me through some things I was going through. And that's something you don't get everywhere. So that's a big professional moment when someone above you can sit and help you grow your own business.
That's awesome.
Expect nothing in return.
That's awesome. Okay. What about y'all?
I guess I'll start and I'll let Darren finish it. But, what inspires us, Darren and I's synergy, we love being business partners. And I'm just always amazed by I call him the closer, but I'm just amazed every day about how he communicates so well with his realtors, with the clients, and, just our synergy and how we work together. I work behind the scenes. He's kind of out front on the telephone. He loves that. I hate the telephone. Please just text me. I'll get right to you. But no, I'm his backup. But that's what you're my inspiration.
Oh,
I know
that's awesome.
It's kind of weird,
That's
but I
so
really
sweet.
think that's what.
thank you.
Mhm.
That's awesome. So just hearing that, obviously the teamwork that y'all have together, that synergy that you have. I used to be a football coach, right? So you have all of these people, you have to have that synergy and you have to have that connection, and you don't want to let the other 11 or 10 guys down that are on the field with you. And I think that's a huge inspiration, right? It makes you get up every day and realize that you have an accountability to that team player, that teammate. And you don't want to let them down. And so you feed off of each other, kind of like having that workout partner, right?
Yeah.
And then Sharon, what I get from you with the team that you have there is just the culture.
Yeah.
Right. It's
an
got to be a
amazing
culture that inspires you, and you want to be a part of that culture, and you want to contribute to it. And that's awesome. Second question. Obviously, I'm a shameless plug of the hashtag the difference, but what's the difference in doing an acceptable job versus an exceptional job? And but while you're thinking about that, so I know I'm throwing you some curveballs. If anybody's been around the real estate industry, and this is what I love about the Real Producer shows, is they bring on the people that not only are doing well, but are willing to share why they're doing well.
Yes.
Right. And for so many in the real estate industry, sometimes it's kind of that fear factor. I don't want to share my secret. Well, newsflash, folks, it's not a secret.
No.
It's really not. Success is not a secret. It's not. But you have so many people that are willing, and talking as a football coach, we had players that were willing to do an acceptable job, just enough to get what they wanted to get. And then we had those that were exceptional. Give me your thoughts on what the differences are.
You guys want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So I think acceptable is just checking all the boxes, right? Looking at the playbook and executing it averagely. Individuals deserve more than average. This is a huge part of their life, and so to be exceptional, you have to go above and beyond in everything that you do. If you want to be the best, you have to do the best. And so we strive to be the best, and we don't say that with cockiness or anything like that. I think you should strive to be the best, knowing that you're not perfect, but always striving to be perfect. And so if you approach everything from that mindset, you're relational in everything you do, and you put yourself in that individual's situation, knowing what they're going through, and personalize that, and always strive to go above and beyond, you'll be exceptional.
We have
That's
coaches,
awesome.
We have mentors, and we do the small details.
That's
We
what I was going to say. It's in the details.
It's in the details. For sure, the details. It's sending out the cards. It's sending out the cookies. It's sending out the closing gifts. It's showing up. Showing up is huge, because so many people, especially in this COVID market, the Zoom, they hide behind the Zoom, or they just, I'll take a phone call. And now, it's huge for people to show up and be present.
Right.
Agreed.
I agree. Sharon, what are your thoughts on that?
So for me, I really feel like the way to make everything exceptional is if I gave my own mother or grandmother as a referral to somebody else, how would I want them to treat that person? And then I have to do that for everybody I'm working with. So if I'm not able to help them, am I getting them another agent that can help them? Right. But I just want them to be taken care of as good as they can be taken care of. And if I'm showing houses to somebody and I know that it's not the right house for them and they're not going to be happy there long term, it's talking to them about it and say, I've talked more people out of buying a house than I've talked into it, honestly, because they're willing to take all these exceptions and they're making too many, and they're going to get into that process and be regretful before they get to closing and sometimes after. And I don't want that for them. I want them to be truly happy. So being exceptional and not just acceptable is about having those hard conversations sometimes, doing the hard thing, to help them better themselves and get to a better spot. So
That's
I just
awesome.
try to plug them into my own family and think, okay, if this is my sister or my brother, how am I going to help them the best that I can?
Very good. Last question. What do your clients appreciate the most about you?
We get, yeah, and I think, Lance, you may have alluded to it. We really want the feedback of our clients, and we really go out of our way to capture that feedback, because that feedback allows us to improve on our entire process. But what we hear them consistently say is, we're always available, and we always proactively communicate. So the overwhelming response that we get is, and you'll see comments like, He took my call at 9 o'clock at night. She was available at 7:30 in the morning. So we have to be available when they're available. So availability is key, and we continue to hear that from our clients, and that's a big, huge part of our process. So I think those are the things that most stand out with that. And then the proactive communication, it has to be timely, it has to be consistent, and it has to be accurate.
Yep.
Great.
So, and with my clients, I get a lot of comments about my sense of humor. I like to make jokes once I get to know someone, and it keeps them lighthearted throughout the transaction. And they always say, "This was so much fun," even if we've been through the battlegrounds of this market, and they're still at closing, laughing and having a good time. Then I feel like that's a success. But yeah, I'm very caring with my clients, and I think that comes through. I show up before their walkthrough almost every time. If I can get there, I tie a big red bow on the door to welcome them to their new house, and just try to put that extra personal touch into everything. And that's usually the thing they remember the most. So.
Right. Let me ask you this. I've got just a few minutes left, and Lance, I'll let you close. But, being around the real estate industry for 20 plus years now, and being an entrepreneur in other industries, sometimes when you do something so often and so repetitive, it becomes second nature to you, and you kind of put it, I'm not going to say you put it on autopilot, but you get used to the ups and the downs and the peaks and the valleys of what goes on in the market, what goes on in the sales process of buying and selling a home. And so we know what to expect. But usually the client doesn't, right? If they're doing it maybe every 3 years, but usually 5 or more. How important is it for us to remind ourselves that this is a human transaction and emotions are high, challenges are all over the place, and sometimes the biggest value we can offer them is just easing their anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. That's so important. And that's why it doesn't matter if somebody bought a home a year ago or 3 years ago. If they're buying a home, today's market's not the same as it was then. I always insist on sitting down for a full consultation. We go through their needs, go through what they're going to want, and really talk through it. And that in the transactions I've had go kind of sideways, I can always look back and go, were they willing to sit down for that consultation? And the answer is always no. If it's somebody that's like off the rails in the middle of the transaction and it's not going to work out, it's somebody I could not get to sit down at a table and have a conversation in the beginning. And so now I won't even go past that. If they can't sit down and have a conversation, whether it's at a table or on Zoom, it's their choice. I will refer them to somebody else because I know that it takes that to get through it.
Yeah, and Linda, I would say the same thing. So, for us, when we think about this, and I think having those consultative conversations will play out in the long run much more favorable for you. So initially, when we're doing the pre-approval and putting together what we call a fee worksheet, whether it's the first home they're buying or their 10th, it's important to go through those numbers, right? What does that monthly mortgage payment look like? Who does have their hand in the cookie jar? What is an escrow? What are prepaid items? These things are foreign to the individual that's buying that home, and they need to understand that. So I hear lenders that just provide a pre-approval letter, but don't tell them what the payment's going to be. How much money am I going to need at closing?
Yes.
You don't have those conversations with that client. And they spend this time, and the agent spends all this time only to find out they can't afford. They may qualify, but maybe they can't afford that mortgage payment. Well, that you've just done everyone a huge disservice. And so that's paramount to the process. Is you have to set proper expectations, and you have to have those conversations up front, or you're simply wasting a lot of people's time.
Darren and I are high maintenance consumers, so we just assume.
I've had several people that I've helped buy or sell that have never actually had anybody explain a buyer rep agreement, a contract, or a listing agreement. And I'll sit down and start going through the paragraphs with them and explaining the contract, and they're like, "What are you doing?" this is foreign to me. And I'm like, you bought and sold 3 homes. They've never been through that.
Lance, we got about 15 seconds, so I'm gonna
Well,
let you
hey,
close it out
as
for
we're
us.
just talking, I realized how lucky I am because Real Producer allows me to surround myself and be inspired by exceptional people like you, professional, authentic folks every day. And I'm so grateful. I'd like to thank our guests today again, Haiti and Darren Lovell and Sharon Cummings. And thank you for watching and listening to DFW Real Estate's best podcast today. You can find us here every week at 11 o'clock. Until next time, we'll see ya.